Hey, JK here. Now I want to thank you for sharing part of your day with me. After another 3-week hiatus away from here, I want to thank you all for joining in. But more importantly, I want to explain why it's been 3 weeks since I posted anything. We had some housework being done. I also got a new job and we welcomed another member to our family. So that is the reason it has been hectic these last 3 weeks. But I'm back and I want to share all of this good news about fantasy with you all. We're going to do another quick and dirty because we have 5 leagues to cover over 3 weeks. That includes the wins, the losses, the ties, the adds, the drops, and the placement within the league. So again, to keep this video shorter than the 30 minutes or so that I've had some previous videos, I'm going to go over these super quick and talk a little bit about how the performance of some of the players in those leagues did. Luckily, I do have a lot of the same players in each league. We're going to start with the Cheese Weasels. I'll go ahead and let you know, over these last 3 weeks, I have stayed in 6th spot. The only thing that has changed are the number of points I've had. So in week 9, I had 98 points, and the adds and drops for that week really were minimal, but they were very impactful. The biggest contributor to my team over these last few weeks has been one of the adds I had in week 9, who is JD Martinez. He has been on fire. Maybe not recently, like this past week, but he has been bombarding my team with home runs, and I've jumped up the standings in the home runs, so that's been awesome for me. 2 other adds I had that week were pitchers, Ben Lively and Andrew Heaney. I turned around and then dropped Heaney. I also had to drop Lars Nootbaar, who went on the IL, and Matt Liberatore. He didn't have a good matchup, and I really didn't feel he was going to be able to help my team, especially with the rumors coming out that he was going to be working out of the bullpen. Moving to week 10, I had 103.5 points. Another member who was added this week has been pivotal over the last few weeks for me. Lamont Wade Jr., or Late Night Lamont, has been drawing the walks like crazy and also been on a late surge of home runs and RBIs, so that's been phenomenal. And then I picked up Tommy Henry. I thought he had 2 really good matchups, but looks can be deceiving and he got blown up in both. Finally, I picked up Braxton Garrett. He grabbed me a win and helped me with some strikeouts. The drops for this week included Braxton Garrett, which I'm kind of regretting now, Ben Lively, and Tommy Henry after he got blown up. Week 11, I moved up points-wise to 106.5, and I had 1 add and 1 drop this week. I was able to drop Pablo Lopez. Now hold on, before you say, but he's getting you a ton of strikeouts. He's mediocre as far as when it comes to ERA and WHIP, but he's getting strikeouts. But someone dropped Justin Verlander in my league. Couldn't think of anyone else to drop. So, I picked up Justin Verlander for Pablo Lopez. I think that's a pretty good deal. This past month, some of the biggest contributors have included Camilo Doval and Carlos Estevez, both picking up 8 saves for me. Kevin Gausman and Joe Musgrove picking up 4 wins each for me. Esteury Ruiz picking up 15 stolen bases. Jonathan India, JD Martinez, and Yordan Alvarez each having at least 7 home runs. Josh Jung, Jonathan India, and Stephen Kwan all having at least 20 runs scored each. And Josh Jung, Christian Yelich, Lamont Wade, and Nate Lowe having a batting average at least .292 throughout the month. Skipping to the Kent Murphy Dingers, week 9 ended in a tie for me. However, there were some late game heroics that pulled me to within that tie. I'll explain. Going into Sunday, I was losing 4 categories to 5 categories. I was losing in the wins category for pitching, so I needed a few of my pitchers who I had picked up to grab me that win. I was hoping that the person I was playing did not get a win because he was playing Zach Gallen. That is the pivotal moment or point in this story, because I had Miguel Castro. If you can think back, bottom of the 9th, the Braves were losing. They loaded the bases, and Eddie Rosario came up and hit a grand slam. That ballooned my ERA, and that cost the other guy the win. Therefore, I won the wins category, and we tied 5 categories each. So my heroics actually came from losing. How many times are you going to hear that? But in any case, that week I did tie, which is not sexy. It's not exciting. However, it did not get me a loss because I'm actually half a game ahead of this guy in the standings in my division. So let's get to the adds and drops for that week. I thought Mike Soroka was going to have a good game coming back against the Oakland Athletics. He got roughed up a little bit only because of a few bad pitches here and there in a later inning that he was in, so he did not get the win for me. But again, had he performed like I expected, and like I think everyone who picked him up and started him expected, he did not perform as well as he should have, or like I said, we wanted him to against a lowly Oakland Athletics team. Now again, this is week 9, not the late surge they've been on this week, okay? So, the lowly Athletics. I also wanted to get cute and add some steals, so I added McKinstry and McCarthy and Kim. As you can tell, I still lost steals. And I had Ruiz. What in the world? I thought I was going to be a lock to win steals every week with Ruiz. Guess that was a slow week for him. The last player I added for week 9 was Yuri Perez. He is still on my team. There are talks about him being demoted. However, I still have him. He has pitched very well as of late. But again, I thought to myself, I should probably pick up some more pitching, especially if Soroka is going to be a dud. Drops that week included Miguel Castro and Mark Leiter, both of which ballooned my ERA up. I also dropped Joey Meneses and McKinstry. Tanner Houck, who had a very nasty injury this past week, but in any case, hopefully he gets better. He was dropped from my team. And I decided to cut bait with Brandon Nimmo. Was one of those guys who would get on base, but he wouldn't do anything while on base, and hitting the leadoff. If you're not doing anything on base, stealing bases, and the Mets wasn't getting him around to score the runs, and again, hitting first or leadoff, he's not getting the RBIs, so wasn't helping me too much, so I did have to cut bait with him. Biggest producers for me in week 9 included Jonathan India with 3 stolen bases and 5 RBIs, and JT Realmuto with 2 home runs. Pitching wise, Nathan Eovaldi got me 2 wins, Bradley racked up 14 strikeouts, and McKenzie in his debut had 10 Ks. Estevez also picked me up 2 saves. So while week 10 brought personal joy, as that's when we had our child, I lost that week 8-2. Who beats a man who's having a kid? That's not cool, man. Don't kick a man while he's with his wife in labor. But it's all good. The adds and drops for that week, we're kind of all over the place. Again, I was trying to get cute like before and added Tommy Henry, who got blown up. I also added Jake Fraley, who sat out because of an illness. So I dropped him. I picked up Owen Miller, and I started him 1 game and then dropped him. I did pick up Joe Adam, Ezekiel Duran, and Teoscar Hernandez. Rewind back to my draft night, and you'll see that I could have kept Teoscar Hernandez in the 8th round. I did not, and his numbers thus far have not been great up to week 9 or week 10, but he has picked it up in the last 2 weeks, so that's been great for me. And some of the drops end up being Mike Soroka, Tommy Henry, Matt Liberatore, Kim, Miguel Castro, and Owen Miller. And Jake Fraley. Like immediately as soon as I picked up Fraley, I released him because he had the illness. Week 10 had JT Realmuto, Esteury Ruiz, and Jake McCarthy each getting me at least 2 stolen bases each. Arenado helped me out with 2 home runs and 7 RBIs. Estevez picked me up 3 saves. Holmes picked me up 2 saves, and Jason Adam picked me up a win and a save. Week 11 brought little sleep, a win, and a very small ad drop list. I did win 7-3, and unfortunately I did have to put Tristan McKenzie on the IL. News today on Tuesday came out that he was going to be shut down for a few weeks. That is not good news, but let's hope he continues to recover well. With Tristan McKenzie going on the IL, I was able to add Scott McGough to my team with that open spot. He is the fantastic co-closer and relief pitcher in general for the Arizona Diamondbacks. I also released Ezekiel Duran and picked up Bryson Stott. If you remember correctly, a few weeks ago I was able to trade Stott and Rosario to a guy in my league for Jeff McNeil and Giovanni Gallegos. Now I still have Gallegos and he's been producing for me, even if he has given up a few runs and raised my ERA. He has picked up some saves and given some strikeouts, even though his strikeout rate is lower than it was the last few seasons. In any case, I did pick up Stott. He's got double-digit steals. He's creeping up on double-digit home runs. He's doing his thing, producing runs, and giving me RBIs. So very happy with him, especially another 300 hitter. Week 11 had Jonathan India and JT Realmuto leading my team again with 3 home runs and 7 RBIs each. Matt Olson contributed with 2 home runs and 6 RBIs himself. Ruiz grabbed 5 stolen bases, and Estevez, of course, picked me up 2 more saves. Going into Week 12, my Kent Murphy Dingers are sitting second in my division, 3rd overall in the league, with a record of 6-4-1. Jumping over to my Funky Junky Joker Monkeys, this was a 3-week span where I really thought I could jump up in the standings. However, because of misplays or just straight up lack of playing, my team lost 2 very close matches and then literally blew the team out in this past week. It's very frustrating because I wish I could have saved some of those points from this past week in Week 11 and added them on to Week 9 and 10 to help me get those wins. But Week 9 was a loss, and it was only by 10 points, 404 to 394. There were a few players I could have played, but if we look at it, my pitchers really cost me this week. In this league, we're only allowed to start 13 pitchers a week. 6 of my 13 pitchers scored 8 points or less. 2 of them scored 1 point for me. Those 6 pitchers I'm talking about combined for 24 total points. The pitchers really cost me this week and put a wasted performance from the following players who all scored at least 30 points for me to waste. Harold Ramirez, Ronald Acuna, Joey Meneses, Tyler Wells, Merrill Kelly, and Lourdes Gurriel. The ads for this week included Willie Castro, Thairo Estrada, Jared Schuster, and Jurickson Profar. The drops for this week included Vince Velasquez, Patrick Sandoval, Brandon Pfaft, and Jared Schuster. Week 10 brought another L. The loss was by more points, but it was still frustrating. I lost 456 to 432. Thairo Estrada, Ronald Acuna, and Nolan Arenado had phenomenal performances for me. And some of the poor performances included Brandon Bielak, Mackenzie Gore, Tommy Henry, and Martin Perez, who had negative points. Martin Perez had 5 negative points. Are you kidding me? Another frustrating point of having the ads and drops next on this list include Tommy Henry and Brandon Bielak being 2 of those players I added to perform well for my team and help me win. That obviously did not happen. Julio Teheran, on the other hand, did perform well for my team, and I'm very happy I picked him up. The drops included Jurickson Profar, Graham Ashcraft, who ended up winning the IL. No surprise, Tommy Henry, Willie Castro, and Patrick Wisdom. And Week 11 brought a W. I scored 10 more points than anyone in the league, and so many more points than my opponent. Some of the biggest performers this week included Ronald Acuna, Late Night Lamont Wade, Bryce Miller, and Justin Turner. He had 52 points alone. Everyone else had at least 40 for me, so that was phenomenal. That was great. The ads this week included Joe Adam, because I figured maybe another save or 2 in the middle of the week could add 5 or 10 points, which would have given me the win 2 weeks ago. And Brandon Bielak, and Ben Lively. And my drops included Brandon Bielak and Matt Liberatore. At this point in time in the Funky Junky Joker Monkey Tailgate Cards League, I am 4-7 in 9th place in my league. We're going to switch gears to the Russell My Jim Jams team. Russell My Jim Jams did not have a great 3 weeks as they are not having a great year overall. However, with the season being halfway over, the goal is for the second half of the season to make some appropriate moves, get some of these games back, and jump up from where I am right now in 7th, sitting at 67, 80, and 29, and get back into contention to make sure I at least make the playoffs. Because as anyone knows you get to the playoffs, you have a chance. Week 9 was a loss. 9 categories to 5 categories to 2 categories. The ads this week include Rich Hill, Matt Liberatore, Danny Colomb, and Nick Martinez. Colomb and Martinez are supposed to be able to grab me some holds and saves. Martinez is valuable because he has starting pitcher and relief pitcher eligibility. The drops included Rich Hill, Jorge Lopez, who has lost all ability to hit the plate, Josh Winkowski, who was the previous Matt Brash, who is now being taken over by Nick Martinez with starting pitcher eligibility, Brandon Bielak, and Mike King. Week 10, I was a winner, 8 categories to 6 categories to 2. The ads and drops included Late Night Lamont and Tommy Henry. The drops also included Tommy Henry, Bryson Stott, and Taylor Walls. Both had multi-positional eligibility, but they weren't producing as much as I wanted them to. Unfortunately, week 11, I caught an L. It was close, but I lost 7 categories to 6 categories to 3 categories. The ads and drop list is pretty long and includes a lot of pitchers, especially relievers. Jordan Hicks, Colin Poach, Brandon Finnegan, Chris Stavinsky, and Taijuan Walker. Rounding out the ads, I picked up J.D. Davis and Bryson Stott. The drops list includes lots of pitchers as well, including Taijuan Walker, Matt Liberatore, Jesse Chavez because he went on IL, Danny Colomb, and Peter Strzelecki. I also dropped J.D. Davis. The biggest performers for the Russell My Jim Jams team over the past month include Jonathan India with 7 home runs and 21 RBIs, Starling Marte with 8 stolen bases, and Lamont Wade with 16 walks. Pitching-wise, Kevin Gausman and Merrill Kelly both have 4 wins, and Giovanni Gallegos and Jason Adam both picked me up at least 5 saves. Rounding this video out, the South Harmon Institute of Technology team had a 2-1 record these last 3 weeks. They are currently sitting 4th overall and 2nd in their division, 4 games behind the leader. Overall record has 89 wins, 77 losses, and 32 ties. Week 9, I caught that L and it was bad. 12-4 to 2. The number of ads and drops this week were pretty low, just like the number of categories I won. I added Rich Hill and dropped Rich Hill. I added Alek Manoah and dropped Kyle Bradish. Week 10 was a win, 12-3 to 3. Just like in other leagues, I tried to pick up Tommy Henry thinking it was a good play. It was not. Like in other leagues, I also tried to pick up Brandon Bielak. That was not a good play. Like in other leagues, I picked up Jake Fraley. Not a good play. I did also pick up Braxton Garrett, which was a good play, and Luis Severino, which was not a good play. This week I ended up dropping Kyle Bradish, Lance Lynn, Miguel Castro, Mark Leiter Jr., and Tommy Henry. No surprise. Week 11 was also a win for me as I won 10 categories to 5 categories to 3 categories. My ads this week were phenomenal. Very happy with who I was able to add to my team. I was able to pick up JP France, Julio Teheran, Griffin Canning, Luke Raley, and Jordan Hicks. And my drops included Jake Fraley, Brandon Bielak, Matt Liberatore, Luis Severino, and Griffin Canning. In this league, the big boppers with at least 7 home runs each include Matt Olson, Francisco Lindor, and Jonathan India. Olson and India join Justin Turner and Freddie Freeman with having at least 19 RBIs each. Merrill Kelly has added 4 wins, and Carlos Estevez and Jordan Romano each have at least 3 saves for me. It's been a pretty great 3 weeks, both personally and fantasy-wise. I want to thank you for joining me in this journey talking about how fantasy baseball is impacting our lives and how it's making everything even that much better. Despite the losses or despite not performing as well, it's fun and we're getting through this together. This is J-Cake, and I want to thank you for sharing part of your day with me.